Okay, welcome to the ZMY Begin class. We're going to start by lying down on our backs. All right, so when you're lying down on your back, have the knees bent. Two options. You can separate the feet and let the knees hang together just to kind of rest the hips. Or if you feel kind of tight in the hips, you can bring the bottoms of the feet together and open up. Sometimes this can be a little bit too much. It can be uncomfortable. Know that you can always change your mind too. You can do this for a couple of minutes and then maybe come to this. You don't have to pick just one or the other. When you decide what to do with your legs, go ahead and put a hand on the belly and a hand on the heart area. You could potentially have both hands on the belly as well. In today's class, we're just gonna, all of our Begin classes move pretty slowly. So today will be no different. We have kind of a busy week or a week of transition from, go, go, go into the summertime mode. And so there might be a lot of things we need to release here and kind of get in touch with. First thing we want to do is see how we're breathing and the quality of breath that we've brought to the mat today. And so if there's anything that will break down today, it will be the breath. Even though the breath and the respiratory process is part of the auto nervous system, auto nervous system, it comes and goes without us having to do anything. There are certain habits and emotions that might cause us to breathe in a certain way, maybe shallow breaths or chest breathing instead of engaging, the belly and the chest. So for now, we're just paying attention to what kind of breathing pattern we have. Also notice if what's longer, the inhalation or the exhalation. I want you to notice which one is longer. The breath has so much to do with how we sleep, how we feel, and even how we digest our food. So if we're inhaling and having the belly be a part of that process, then we're moving the organs around, right? And we're expanding the chest muscles. We're doing all of the things that the body's supposed to be participating in when we breathe. Our breath determines if our nervous system is in fight or flight, or if we are in the rest and digest mode. So after kind of noticing what kind of breathing pattern you have right now, which could change, of course, on your next inhale, be sure that you expand the belly and then the chest, and then exhale and let everything fall and contract down. So we inhale belly, chest, exhale. Breathe into the belly, chest, exhale. The belly is not going to expand as much as the chest, of course, but it has to participate. Keep breathing like this. Try to get the inhale nice and long and deep. And then exhale completely, full exhale. Keep going in and out through the nose. Eventually, we want our exhalations to be longer than our inhalations. That is a sure sign that you're in the relaxation mode, or at least in balance. If you have short, panting exhales, your anxiety is definitely taking over. We'll do this a few more times. Doesn't have to be perfect. This is something that we're always refining and playing with, just something to be aware of. One more deep breath. Exhale through the mouth. And then however your knees are, we're gonna end up bringing our legs straight. So if your knees are open, bring them back together. And everybody's gonna come into straight legs. Bring the arms overhead, and we're just gonna take a long stretch here. You can circle the wrists and the ankles, maybe take a yawn. And then bring the arms down when you're ready. Bend the knees. We're gonna bring the knees up to the chest one at a time. The reason we do it one knee at a time is because then our abdominals are lifting our knees. If we do just both knees at the same time, our back is doing the work. We wanna protect the back. So one knee at a time, and then squish the lower spine on the mat by rocking back and forth. Keep the belly soft here so the muscles in the back can release. And then go ahead and slow down your rocking. We'll bring the feet down. And we're gonna do a supine pigeon pose. So left ankle to right knee. Now, depending on what you've been storing up this last year, or maybe even just today or this last week, our hips are the emotional junctures. When our body and our minds don't know what to do with something, it just kind of sits in the hips. So if you have tight hips, that's all right. That can change over time, but that might explain some of it. Keep this foot flexed, so toes pointing towards the shins, and then interlace your fingers behind the right thigh. If this is too much, you can always just stay right here. Eventually we can bring a belt into the practice and maybe pull the belt behind the leg, or if you have some kind of dog leash or belt at home. But we're just gonna stay here and keep the muscles in the face soft, keep the shoulders soft, and keep both feet flexed. That slow, steady breath we were just doing, we wanna take that into every pose we do the best we can, especially when the postures start to get a little bit more difficult. You know, how can we get through a challenging thing? We breathe. Two more breaths here. And then go ahead and bring the feet down one at a time. Right ankle comes to left knee, just doing the same thing on the other side. Interlace the fingers behind the left thigh. Notice any differences of tightness or openness. This is definitely my tighter side. It's probably why I did it last. And then bring the hands behind the left thigh. Draw your knee towards the body. Keep both feet flexed and breathe here. Muscles in the face are soft. Shoulders are soft. Two more breaths. And then go ahead and bring the feet down. Just kind of rock the knees left to right like windshield wipers. Start to warm up the hips a little bit more. And then we are going to stop the rocking and roll onto our right side. Go ahead and bring yourself to hands and knees, and we're going to come into a child's pose. So since our focus is on the breath, we're also going to feel how different ways that we're in postures are going to affect how the breath is constricted or how it can flow freely. To come into child's pose, the knees are going to be apart and the big toes are going to be together. We sit back on the heels best we can, or put a blanket or something back there, and then walk the hands forward. If the forehead doesn't touch the floor, then we stack the fists. If your knees are not good here, you shift the weight forward onto your forearms and kind of hang forward here, as long as it feels somewhat like a restful posture. If you're able to have the hands forward, press the fingertips and press the hands and get the shoulders, feel the shoulders open when you do that. You can even rock a little bit back and forth. Rolling the forehead a little bit back and forth is sometimes just a nice indicator that, you know, you're shutting the brain off. We're turning the thinking off and moving into feeling. And as you breathe here, feel all 4 sides of the rib cage expand. So there's nothing constricting the breath here. The lungs are bigger in the back of the body than they are in the front of the body. So you can really feel the back expand as you breathe in. We're going to take 3 more breaths here. And then after that 3rd exhale, we're going to lift the head, walk the hands in just a little bit so we can walk the hands to the right. We're bringing the hands to the right as far as we can to open up the left side of the body and get into the lower quadrants of the back. So once you walk your hands as far as you can, see if you can soften towards the floor. It's a little bit awkward. You're twisted, you're, doing a lateral stretch, but it sometimes reaches those parts that we can't reach. And here, as you breathe in, feel the left lung expand and create space. There's many times where our mind will wander. It's a normal thing. The mind never shuts off. It's always looking for something to attach to. So if we can follow the breath and really focus on the breath, that will help us stay in the present. And sometimes we have to do that 100 times during a practice, and that's okay. On your next inhale, we're going to go ahead and lift and slowly walk the hands to the left as far as you can. And same thing, we're just going to soften down. Start to breathe into that right lung and open the right side of the body. Depending on where you have tightness in your body, you'll feel this in different areas. You might feel it in your hip, your shoulder. And then we'll go ahead, inhale, lift up, come back to center. And then we're going to come back onto hands and knees and lower ourselves onto our bellies. So selfishly, we're going to, for my sake, we're going to open up the front of the body because my hip flexors are really tight today from standing on my leg, which normally is not something that we do here because, it's just a fun thing that we did the other day. But use your right arm as a pillow and see if you can grab the left toes or the foot or the ankle. And again, if you can't, that's all right. We can do this against the wall or we can pull a strap. But if you can grab, bring your heel towards your body, just rest your forehead on your arm and press the hips into the mat. This way we can hit all sides of the hip socket as well. And of course, this is getting into the quadriceps. When we're doing yoga, even for, postures like this, where it feels like we're just stretching. I mean, some of us have, we've done this in other classes or whatnot, we're still strengthening at the same time. It takes effort for me to keep the shoulders back here, and that's what we want to do. Take 3 more breaths. And then we're going to go ahead and release and switch arms. So left arm is your pillow. Grab the right foot or toes or whatever you can, pant leg even. And then bring the foot towards the body. Press the hips into the mat. And if for some reason you're not feeling this still, let me know, because there's ways that we advance in this posture too. You might have really open quadriceps, who knows? Focus on the sensations you're feeling, where you're feeling them, and keep breathing. We're doing 3 more breaths here. Go ahead and release. Bring your palms to the mat. Use the strength of your arms to push you up to hands and knees. And so we're bringing the hands to the front of our mat so we can have a nice space. Our shoulders won't be going over our wrists. We're going to do big hip circles here. So get the knees separated so you have some balance. Shift your hips forward to the side, back to the other side, until you're just hitting all 4 corners of the mat, but just doing these big rotations with the hips. So we're going to start clockwise. And then after you do 3 or 4 in one direction, go ahead and reverse it. And then once you're done with that, we'll just go ahead and come back to hands and knees. Make sure that fingers are separated, the palms are pressing into the floor, the wrists are in front of the shoulders anytime we're bearing weight. We're going to talk about that more in a minute when we do down dog. And then the knees are hip width apart, tops of the feet are flat on the mat. We're going to do our cat pose. And so this pose is important for keeping mobility in the spine. You're going to inhale and lift the tailbone, feel the spine drop towards the front of the body, and then lift the chin. And then as you exhale, you're going to press the pelvis towards the face, arch the back, drop the head. And then with each breath, inhale, we dip. Exhale, we arch. You're going to do this with the pace of your breath, which might be different than mine. And if you want to add a little bit of dangling of the head or moving the shoulders, you can do that. And we'll do like 3 more rounds of this going back and forth. And then finish up where you are. We'll come back to a flat back or a neutral spine. And then I want you to take the top of your left hand and press it into the mat. So we're just doing a little bit of wrist opening here before we move on. The more you shift your weight back and keep the arm straight, the more you're going to feel this. The wrists are just not used to being at 90-degree angles in either direction, but they can do that. And the more we do yoga, the more our wrists will open up. Most of us are on computers a lot or phones a lot, which is, I mean, that's what we have to do for our job, right? I mean, even I have to do that. We just need to give our wrists attention, that's all. Shake it out. We're going to do the other side. So top of the hand, so the fingers are pointing towards the legs. Notice any differences here. If you're right-handed, this might feel tighter. And then go ahead and shake that out. Okay, so we want to make sure the right hand is in front of the shoulder, of course. We're going to stick the left leg out behind us and lift with the inner thigh. We're not trying to lift it way up high and compress our lower back. We're just trying to stick it straight back best we can. Look down at your mat. Bring the right fingertips forward, so extend the right arm so your bicep is to your ear best as possible. And we're going to take a few breaths here. Bring your belly button up towards your spine so there's no dip. You want to protect the lower back and strengthen those muscles. See if you can take 3 more breaths here. And then bring the hand and the knee down slowly. Good. Same thing on the other side. Extend the right leg back, lift with the inner thigh, extend the left arm. Look straight down and keep the neck neutral. Navel towards the spine. Kick out through your heel and reach forward with your fingertips. 3 more breaths. And then bring the hand and the knee down. We're going to come back in that child's pose, but this time we're going to bring the palms together and drop them behind the head just to rest the arms a little bit. We're going to take 3 or 4 breaths here. And then go ahead and bring the hands back down to the mat, back up to your knees. We're going to come into our first down dog. So our hands are going to be planted just like we had already explained. Fingers spread, arms are shoulder width apart. Curl the toes under and lift the hips up and back towards the ceiling. If you can get the ears to the inner arms, that's great. Keep the knees bent if you need to. Push the floor away from you and shift your weight back into the hips. This is a pose that takes years to refine. Just do what you can for now. Pedal the feet out maybe, stretch the back of the legs. And if at any time, any of these postures get to be too much actually, you can just come back into that child's pose. We're gonna separate the feet to the edges of the mat and then start to walk the hands towards the body. If your hamstrings are tight, you're just gonna need to bend the knees and be okay with that. Now here we can hang forward, or we can grab elbows, opposite elbows, and hang forward, and maybe dangle the head and sway a little bit back and forth. The interesting thing about this is really calming for the nervous system, and it feels, you know, like the upper body can just kind of pour out eventually, but the legs are working really hard. So take another breath or so here. See if you can really let go, all the neck muscles. And then bring the fingertips to the mat. We're gonna start to lift the head, but not all the way. I'm gonna start to get the blood pressure back evened out. Bring your hands to your shins. See if you can get a flat back here, pull the shoulders back. This takes a lot of strength for the lower back, for the glutes. And then bring your hands to your thighs. Extend through the top of the head or the crown of the head. It's the puppy. As soon as you do that down dog, he's there. Go ahead and inhale all the way up. Palms together, exhale, hands in front of the heart. Whew. What a good boy. Okay, so now that we're standing, a really important part of yoga is how we stand in our mountain pose. Mountain pose just looks like we're standing, but this is a very important posture because we're aligning everything in the body. And what I've been taught and what my experience is with back pain is that if we can find alignment in the body and find balance, because the body is always seeking homeostasis, it's always trying to find that balance, then our bodies can heal. So it begins with the feet and our foundation, just like anything else. Pretend you have 4 corners of your feet, 2 in the front and then the heels. It could be 3 points if that's better, but just be sure that you're pressing all the corners of your feet. And now notice where your weight is in your feet. Is it on the outsides of the feet, the insides, the front, the back? Just kind of shift around a little bit to find that balance. And so the feet are grounded, and from the navel up, we're reaching upward through the top of the head, like somebody's pulling a string and making us taller, but we're still staying grounded. The arms are relaxed, but the shoulder blades are drawing towards each other, keeping the collarbone spread and the chin parallel to the floor. And so if you're comfortable having your eyes closed doing this, to feel what's going on, you can do that, or just have a soft gaze, because eventually we want to have the weight even in the entire body, even through the fingertips, just completely balanced. And see if we can take a few breaths once we arrive. And if your eyes are closed, go ahead and blink them open and just kind of release that. We're going to inhale and bring the arms up. Grab the left wrist, exhale, lean to the right. Now you're going to hear me refer to mountain pose a lot. So have your mountain pose legs still, nice, even grounded legs, but we're leaning to the right to open up the left side of the body. Inhale, come back to center, grab the right wrist, exhale, lean to the left. Try to keep the weight even in the feet. Come back to center, bring the arms down, grab the elbows behind the back. If your shoulders are tight, that might look like this. It might look like just grabbing the wrist, but try to grab something and grab as far as you can, because the more your shoulders can stay open and we can push that, the better we are for letting go of tension. So we're keeping our body in mountain pose, and we're going to do some neck stretches here. Just the neck and the head are moving. We're just going to check out our mobility and release the cervical spine or the neck. Keep the feet balanced. Look over the right shoulder as far as you can. Just bring the chin to the right. And now bring the chin down and across the chest until you're looking completely over the left shoulder. Notice the difference here from right to left. And then bring the chin down and across. Now you're going to do this on your own. Take your time. We're not in a rush to go back and forth. If your neck needs an extra moment in a spot, give it that extra moment. Keep the chest lifted as you do this. That way we're really lengthening the back of the neck. Let's go across the chest 1 or 2 more times. And then when you're done, we'll bring the head back to center and release the arms. Inhale, bring the arms up. Palms together, exhale, hands in front of the heart. Deep breathing here. Inhale, keep the palms together, reach up. Exhale, bring the arms down. We're going to do that 2 more times. Full inhale, all the way up. Exhale, hands in front of the heart. Inhale up. Imagine bringing oxygen to every cell of the body here. One last time, inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands in front of the heart. And then inhale up. And exhale down. Good. That nourishment, that filling of the lungs. Come to the front of your mat. And let's work on the legs a little bit with a couple of warrior poses. So start by bringing the left leg straight back. And as you bring the left leg straight back, the hips are going to stay pointing forward. If you have tight hips, the left hip's going to want to do this. Don't let it. Keep it straight. And then our feet are about hip width apart, separated from each other. So depending on how wide your hips are, you're going to want to give yourself some grace. I was always taught that, warrior one was like heel to heel, but I've had 4 children and I'm not great balancing. It was a male teacher that, showed me that. He doesn't have hips like me. Give yourself some hip room. Bend into the front knee. Don't let the knee go beyond the ankle. Feel that opening in the left hip flexor. Press the outer edge of the back foot. Feel the glutes engage. This is strengthening also. And then inhale, just bring the arms straight up. Keep the arms straight. When they stop being straight, that's when you stop lifting. So if they start to bend here because of tightness, straighten, go back to where they're straight. Okay? So go as far as you can. And Robin, you can go higher than that. Reach through your fingertips. Oh, that was your ceiling I was looking at, but you're good. If you can get the biceps to the ears, that's great. Now find a focus point. We're going to breathe here, 3 or 4 breaths. Same breaths we took in the beginning when we were lying down on our back. Soften the shoulders away from the ears. Bring your palms together, hands in front of the heart. And we're gonna just hop back to the front of the mat. Same thing on the other side, right leg back. We'll go through this one a little bit quicker. I don't have to talk about the hips every time, right? Just be sure that they're pointing forward. Press the outer edge of the back foot, bend into the front knee. Inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, soften the shoulders away from the ears. The inner edges of the shoulder blades are working here for you. Draw the navel in and up. Two more breaths. Palms together, hands in front of the heart. Hop back to your mountain pose. Now take a wide stance on your mat. Separate the feet. Warrior 2. From the hip socket, we're bringing the right toes out 90 degrees. So, our heel is lined up with our heel for this one. And our legs are really spread. So it's like our ankles are separated because we're going to be doing like this side lunge. You can always adjust later. Just be sure the back toes are in a little bit. Your foot is parallel with the back mat. Take your left hand and press into this. It's the gluteus medius. Press into it. Make this hip go down. My knee is going past the ankle, so I need to scoot my toes forward. Just give yourself enough credit here. Once you're here with the legs, the left shoulder goes back and you extend the arms. So the upper body is like between 2 panes of glass. Okay, 3 breaths here. Gaze off the right fingertips. You can do it. And then bring the hands down to your waist. Straighten the right knee. Pivot the toes in. Pivot the left toes out. Press this hip. We're just going to do the same thing on the other side. So bend into this left knee, right shoulder back, extend the arms. This back knee is going to want to bend a little bit most of the time. Keep it straight. Look off your left fingertips. And find, I mean, this is a warrior pose for a reason. Find your inner warrior here. Find your strength. It's there. Breathe. 2 more breaths. Bring your hands down to your waist. Straighten the left knee. Pivot the toes in. Now we have both feet pointing forward. We're going to inhale, lift the chest. And then exhale, tip forward. Keep the heart leading forward. Now, if your hamstrings are tight, you might have to bend the knees here to keep the chest open. That's okay. Fingertips to the floor is fine. Bent knees is fine. But we all keep a straight back. Drop the head when you arrive. We're going to breathe here. And if you feel a rounding in the back, draw the shoulder blades towards each other. Make those muscles work for you. Another breath or two. And then we'll inhale, lift the head. Bend the knees a little bit. Exhale, bring the hands to the waist. And then press your feet and come all the way up. And go ahead and bring the feet back together. Shake the legs out a little bit. Twist at the waist. All that stuff that kind of bubbles up to the surface as we're working all of these issues out of the tissues, this pushes it away. Like, get out of here, get out of here. I'm very visual, so. Okay, we're gonna do a balancing posture and then we're gonna come back down to the mat. So we'll do tree pose today. Couple different options, and if you wanna use the wall, use the wall. Left hand is gonna be on the waist. And we're going to start by putting all of our weight into the left leg. So the leg is strong, the muscles are hugging the bones, so we can lift the right heel. See if you can just keep your eyes on one spot here and just listen to my voice through this. So if you feel balanced here, maybe you lift the foot a little bit higher. Okay, and then you can bring the knee out to the side. And then maybe you bring your hands together in front of your heart. You can keep your toes on the floor the whole time. If you've been doing tree pose a while, you can bring the heel up here, or you can even work on your half lotus and just have half of a hand in front of the heart. We're going to take 3 more breaths here. Don't be afraid to ask for help, which is using a wall or a chair or a table. And then we'll go ahead and bring the knee to point forward, extend the leg, and come back down to both feet. Good. Lots of work. Other side, find your tree. The drishti, or the focus point, is just as important as the breath. Keep control of the breath to help you balance. The foot is grounded. We're reaching up through the crown of the head. One more breath here. And then go ahead and point the knee forward. extend the leg, and bring it back to mountain pose. Nice. Nice trees. Depending on what's going on in our life, our balance poses will be a hot mess, and that's okay. Sometimes I'm feeling really good and my balance postures are really difficult. So sometimes it just doesn't matter. We could blame it on anything, whatever. Sometimes they're fun, sometimes they're not, as is yoga. Go ahead and come to the front of your mat. Inhale, bring your arms up. Reach up as high as you can. Exhale, fold. So bend your knees, bring your fingertips to the floor, drop your head. Inhale, look up. So just coming up to a flat back here. And then exhale, step back, come down to your knees. Cross at the ankles and have a seat. We're going to extend the legs out in front of us and do a little bit of a stretch here before we lie down. So if you do have issues in the lower back and this is uncomfortable, which it was for me for a long time, you can roll up the back of your mat or blanket and put it under the sitting bones, and that'll help tilt the pelvis for you. Bend the right knee, drop it out to the side. Left leg is strong, pressing into the floor as we scoop the belly in and up, get tall, and then exhale, kind of pour out over the leg. Doesn't matter where your hands go. Nobody cares if you grab your feet. I care if you grow and you don't grab your feet. Like Robin, I don't know where you are on your foot. If you're able to touch your fingertips at the top of your foot, then it's time for you to start flipping this hand out and grabbing the fingers, okay? Yeah. Otherwise, go wherever you are with a flat back and keep this leg active. Chin is lifted towards the shin, shoulder blades pull towards each other. We're taking 3 breaths here. And then inhale, look up at your foot. And then exhale, release the pose. Bring this knee in, straighten it. Anytime we're bending the knees are fragile. We want to close the knee joint first and then bring it out to the side. Because if you do yoga long enough and keep doing it like this, that's going to bother your knee eventually. Close it up, drop it out. Right leg is strong. Inhale, scoop up, press the leg down. Exhale, fold over. Yowza. Woo. Keep the shoulders back. Go where you can. Even after a breath or two, you might find you can fold and release at the hips a little bit more, but we're not leading with the shoulders. 2 more breaths here. Inhale, look up, and then exhale, release. Good. Bring both feet together and drop the knees out to the sides. You're gonna hold the ankles rather than the toes just for more stability. And also so you can press the elbows into the legs. We're just trying to open the hips here. We're gonna press the spine towards the body and drop the head here. So inhale, take a deep breath. And then as you exhale, press the belly button back, get a nice stretch in the back of the body and drop the top of the head towards the feet. And as you're doing this, you'll notice the elbows most likely can press into the legs, maybe, not always. And you can kind of peel your feet apart as the hips open. As you really let go here. Any kind of junk, just let it pour out of the head. This is a releasing pose. Because when we're doing hip openers like this, sometimes there's junk that definitely is released. So we need to let it go. One more breath. Inhale, come all the way up. Use your hands to help your knees back together. And you know, sometimes the things that come up, we don't even know what it is, or we can't put words to it. It just is there. That's why sometimes in Shavasana, we end up crying and we don't know why. It's just something from 1985 that's letting go. And that's just normal for yoga. This is good. Burning stuff away. Lie down on your back. And as you lie down on your back, straighten your legs. Let's just kind of neutralize the spine here. Bring the arms overhead. We're taking a stretch. We're not quite done yet, but we're getting there. All right, bring the arms down. One thing we haven't done yet is a back bend, which we need to complete our practice. So doing bridge pose is a good way to bring that in towards the end now that our spine is nice and warmed up. The knees stay bent, the feet are hip width apart, and we do try to bring the heels close to the body, okay? This way, we have that curve in the lower spine and our hips are already tilted forward, which is what we need in order to not get stuck. We need that rotation to happen so the hips can come up. And as we come up, shoulder blades are flat. Watch me do it really quick first. So you might just stay right here. You might walk the shoulders closer to each other and get higher. You might interlace the fingers. You decide, see where it goes. All right, so we'll prepare. Inhale and lift. Press the heels, press the inner edges of the feet. And breathe, eyes open or closed. Just look at one focus point. Lower down, hips first. And then the spine can kind of let go. Take a breather here. We're gonna do it just one more time. Prepare, so feet hip width apart. Shoulder blades are flat. Press the feet and lift. And lower. All right, unwind the spine. We're gonna take a breath here. And then for a counter pose, we're gonna go ahead and bring the knees up to the chest one at a time. Our knees towards the body. Hug onto the knees, rock back and forth. Be sure the lower back is now squishing into the mat. And then you can even take your knees and draw circles on the ceiling just to rotate the hips one last time, both directions. Bring the feet back down. We're gonna drop the knees to the left. Just a simple twist here, extend the arms, palms facing up. If you're not feeling much of a stretch like this, bend your elbows and see if that helps. Bring the knees back to center, nice and slow. And then drop the knees to the right. Giving the organs a massage, stimulating the digestive system, and just wringing out some old crap. Go ahead and come back to center. One more stretch or a hug of the knees. Decide what your body needs here. It might need to hug the knees one more time. As long as we're neutralizing the spine here before we go into our relaxation. You can circle the wrists and the ankles. And then our corpse pose or our Shavasana is how we end each class, right? So get as comfortable as you want here. I mean, I have students who do blankets, cover the eyes, get a sweatshirt, get a socks, whatever makes you feel most comfortable here. You're lying flat on your back. You are going to have a curve here. If your lower back hurts to be flat, then either bend the knees or put something underneath the knees. Palms are facing up about 6 inches away from the body. Shoulder blades are flat. And the chin is a little bit lower than the forehead. So if we have a tight neck, this is going to be hard. So we might have to put a pillow or something underneath the head. I needed a block, an entire block under my head for a very long time. Separate the feet and just let everything go here. We're going to take 3 deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Again, breathe in deeply. Exhale. Last time, breathe in, gather up any stress or tension in the body. And then separate the lips and exhale. Let it leave the body. Feel the bones beginning to settle to the back of the body, getting heavy. And I want you to do a body scan starting at the top of your head and just like a wave of release down into the face and head, neck, shoulders, just releasing all the way down until you reach your toes. Being sure you're not gripping any muscle. Our job for Shavasana is to examine or observe the body after our practice. Notice what's feeling good. Notice what's still feeling uneven or tight without judgment, just observing. And if your mind wanders a bunch, which it might, that's okay. We're going to use our mantra. Mantra is our focus for the month, and we're going to use our peace and quiet mantra. So as we breathe in, we think peace. And as we breathe out, we think quiet. And for the next few moments, just allow yourself to be. Bring your awareness back to your breath. And when you're ready, very slowly begin to wiggle the fingers and the toes. And then move into the wrists and the ankles, waking the body gently. And then just listening to what movement the body needs next here. Maybe a bend of the knees, maybe more stillness. And then you're going to roll onto your right side. Use your arm as a pillow. And enjoy these last few moments of stillness. Releasing anything you don't want to carry with you into your evening or your week. So you can create space for the new things. And slowly use the strength of your arms to push yourself up to a seated position. Bring your hands together in front of your hearts. And we'll close class together. Thank you for letting me guide you today. The teacher in me honors and appreciates the teacher in you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.